Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Backgammon live stream number 91. And today we have a very special episode because today we are talking about the modern Bible of Backgammon that is called The Theory of Backgammon, created by Dirk Schiemann. And who would be a better guest to talk about this topic than the author and UBC finalist 2021 and Backgammon Grandmaster Dirk Schiemann. So here we have him today. Welcome, Dirk.
Yeah, hello everybody. Really looking forward to this and also very curious with what kind of questions you will come up. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so it's very nice to have you here, Dirk. And you have been in my streams several times, and it's always a great pleasure. And yeah, today we have something special. We want to talk about your new book, your first book, your new book, The Theory of Backgammon. There has been a lot of talk about it, and it's not the easiest backgammon book in the world, so to speak. So we decided that we may support the buyers of the book on the readers and do some streaming here, and maybe we make a series out of it if we have success today. So the idea is that we get questions, and we have got some questions beforehand we will talk about, and of course you can still ask your questions during this live stream, either in the YouTube chat or on Backgammon Prime. There is a special channel for the Theory of Backgammon book by Dirk. I will have a look at it as well. So maybe the easiest thing would be to state the questions here in the YouTube chat. Yeah, how do we start? Maybe we want to get rid of something which I don't like to talk about so much, because we are talking about typos in your book, and I was one of the proofreaders, and it seems that I did not do a perfect job, because you had several readers that already told you about some minor things, minor issues. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about this, Dirk, to get this out of the way?
Yes, and to be fair, you were not the only proofreader. So these are the ones that escaped everybody. So not only, I mean, we all are to blame, especially me, for producing the typos in the first place. And here is the typo list. And the good news is there is nothing really terrible so far. So no reader has come up so far yet with criticizing the train of thought or an incorrect argument or a bad analysis. So seems in that area everything is fine, although you never know. But let's just make a quick recap. So first typo on page 35, pip count 2 pips too low for both sides. So I don't know how that happened, of course. Then there is another one in the definition on page 48. Then I wrote posture instead of position, also nice.
And I found a typo in the typo list.
Oh, yeah.
There's a blank missing, page 56. The blank missing.
A blank missing, yeah, okay. Yeah, I should have let you proofread the typo list first. Okay, thank you very much. And then a wrong percentage in a diagram. I mean, you can see it for yourself, and some here like MCW in one case. Yeah, all kind. I think that is all not really important stuff, but it still annoys me, and I hope it doesn't annoy the readers too much. And then there are also some typos or inaccuracies in the tables, the take point tables and the gammon value tables. So I wrote that down. And then on page 174, it says numbers. So too many numbers, one numbers had to go. And then I had also like table or contents. It's of course the table of table of values. It was something like table of values. Well, then some also when I miscounted shots on page 229, I have a strong suspicion that in the end I changed the position, the example position, and the original had 18 shots, and then it was all of a sudden 19, and I didn't correct it, but I don't know. Nobody counted the shots of the proofreaders, and so now the wrong number of shots is on that page. And then page 66, the cardinal sin for each mathematician, because there I defined something, an index, the P, for pass, and then in the next paragraph I used it for player. I mean, you can see the old version. I mean, that is really what you're not supposed to do. If a letter has one meaning and mustn't have two, that's really bad. But still, I think since not many complained, or only one person actually noticed it, Mark Olsen, I think it was. So here is the corrected version. I just took out the index, so nothing too terrible, I hope. And then I lost an index in one calculation, and yeah, this is on the left is the old version, on the right is the corrected version, but you all have the flawed version, of course, in your book, if you have the book. And some other mistake that wasn't my fault, because for some reason, some fours didn't make it from the script to the printing house. So it says in the book 10, section 10, but it's section 10.4 actually, but yeah. So those are all the typos. I encourage everybody to find more. Just bombard me with typos if there are. I hope it's not possible to find like 20 more, but well, what can you do? Mea culpa, sorry. At least there is nothing really disastrous so far. But each day people are reading the book, and each day that nobody comes up with something reduces the chance that there is really something terrible in the book. But so I hope, yeah, you will be able to live with those. Nothing to do about it anymore. Okay, so now that this is out of the way, I can just, yeah, we can just continue with some nicer stuff, I hope.
There was one suggestion from Jens Aberkamp in the chat. What about offering this list of typos as a download? It seems like a good idea, I think.
Yes, actually, for those of you who are on Facebook, I'm planning to open a discussion group titled "The Theory of Backgammon," or so, I don't know it. I have it already, but it's private, and soon I will make it public. And for sure, I will post all the known typos, and so people can post there if they have more. They can just post it in that Facebook group that soon will come into being, maybe this weekend. Actually, I have no reason not to make it public by now. And yeah, but also on the webpage, probably it's a good idea, because not everybody is liking Facebook too much. Right, Rainer?
Yes, one of them, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but Yeah, I should post the typo list on the webpage. So these are the known typos.
But if we talk about homepage, about the book and downloads, there are some good news. I'm just showing the viewers your homepage, which is easily to find. It's in the header of this stream. So it's dirk-schiemann.de, and there you will find a new section which is called rollouts. Maybe you want to say some words about this. I think it's a great service.
Yeah, these are all I mean, not all the rollouts, but the rollouts of the contact positions at least. So these endgame situations, I mean, I didn't put them into the list, but all these long 10,000 something rollouts that take forever, these positions are just there. And it works like you can see that they are named with a page first. For example, I don't know, I pick a position, I don't know what it is. Let's see, that's 50B. So that is the position on page 50 on the bottom. The B is for bottom. And then there are also other positions like where you have two rollouts for the same position, usually for different scores or for a score and for money game. So you can see this position is on page 329, bottom right. So that's how they are filed. So you can easily find them in the book.
Okay, that's very cool, I think.
Okay, so yeah.
Then maybe we should just take a look at the chat before we start with the questions we got beforehand. So we have Herbert Jeske here. So greetings to Munich, Herbert, and Jürgen Kunkel. And we have mentioned Jens Aberkamp already, and of course Patrick is here. Hello Patrick. And the president of the German Backgammon Federation, Jürgen Schettler, is here. Hello Jürgen. And we have a new, at least for me, a new viewer, Tamios MGTOW. And he also has, and of course we have Arthur. We will come to your questions pretty soon, Arthur. Stay tuned. And Tamios also has a question. I'm stuck at 5.5 PR. This may be the synonym for me here, Tamios. I have the same problem. With which kind of structures and positions I need to work more for gain solid 4 PR? Yeah, that's a good question, but I think it's beyond this stream today.
Yeah, but very quick answer. What I would recommend, it has nothing to do with the book, but first, if you're playing 5 plus 5.5 PR, that means that you are already pretty good. So I would suggest look at your mistakes, categorize them, and see where your tendencies are. Maybe you are taking too much when you're leading in a match, as an example. So try to find out tendencies. And for example, today I found a tendency. It seems like I make too many doubling mistakes when I'm down in the match and my opponent needs 2 points. Like today in some training matches, I made some mistakes in that area. So then I will look at these mistakes and look if I can find some patterns. What do I get wrong? And so you really have to go deeper into your mistakes to get to a even higher level. I mean, 5.5 is already, I don't know how many people, what do you think, Rainer, play a 5.5 in the world?
I don't know.
But it should be Well,
I think there are too many. That's why I'm not satisfied with 5.5.
Okay. So, yeah. So yeah, but you will really have to look at your tendencies and personalize and find out more about yourself. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, and Tamios, maybe you can write me an email. Maybe we can do something together because I'm pretty much on the same road to get down another PR point from my current 5.3 I'm at the moment, but basically the same thing. Okay, then we have Taifur from Hamburg. Hello, Taifur. And we have Paul McKenna. Greetings to Paul. And Jens Aberkamp is asking 200. I lost it. What is the question about 200? 200 players in the world who play 5.5 or better.
Okay.
Or 5.5, I don't know.
Well, could be, but it's already a tall order. Stefan I see Stefan from Zurich, who is actually, since Stefan logged in, who is one of the involuntary creators of the book. He had some influence. I mean, I think without him, it never would have happened. So hello, Stefan. Special thank you.
Hello, Stefan. Nice to meet you.
So.
And then we have Volker Sonnabend. Hi, Volker. And he says 5,000. This looks a little bit more closer than the 200, I think, from Jens. I think 200 is too low.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. If we continue greetings, we will never come to the questions, I think. But the last greeting to Ralf Sudbrug. Hello, Ralf. And maybe we can later on catch up and we start with some questions. We had one question from. It was written as a comment on this stream from today. In between, it was a few days ago, and somehow YouTube you will delete it. But I saved it, and so we can. It was from a viewer called Dovidas Kuzinauskas. Sorry, Dovidas, for maybe pronouncing your name incorrectly. But your question was, what about second edition of your book? Only fixing mistakes of the first edition, or will it has new chapters added?
Yeah, I mean, this edition is out for 2 months now, so it's a little bit early to talk about any other edition, but I will first, of course, have to see how this edition sells. And I don't think, I mean, I have material for more chapters, but I think it wouldn't be fair to the ones that bought the book already to come up in 1 year with additional chapters. So probably these readers who bought the first edition will feel cheated. So if a second edition with additional chapters comes out someday, I don't know, but it won't be within the next 2 or 3 years, I think. So first this edition, and then as a next step, you can see the huge list of typos. I mean, not huge, but they are more than I would have liked to. And so these typos will all be gone in the next edition. And actually, there's one position where my explanation was incomplete. A reader asked me about that. And so when such a thing happens, I mean, it's not the wrong, the explanation is not wrong, but it could have been better. So maybe some improvements when one explanation is not spot on, or I feel it could be better. But nothing significant in the next couple of years, I think.
Okay. So if we talk about second edition, we also have to talk about, we had some questions by Jürgen and Wolfgang Kunkel, and now also it was asked here by Ralf Sudbrug in the chat. What about the German edition? I know we talked about it for a little bit. What's the newest status on this?
Yeah, I translated one chapter to see how much time it takes, and it's quite an effort. I still not 100% sure what I will do as a next step. I will edit this translation a little bit. For sure, it won't be perfect because that would take a lot of time. But you saw what I wrote, Rainer, and you said it was okay. So. And then I will probably publish that chapter, the translated chapter, for download, and German-speaking people can then show their interest, or I will then collect people or I will see how many people really have an interest and if it's worth the effort, because one thing is for certain, I noticed it's not so much fun to translate what you have written already, because the interesting part of writing, investing like 1,000+ hours in writing that book was I learned a lot myself, and when I translate it, there is no learning effect anymore. That is just more not so exciting. So I'm still debating with myself, but the interest will for certain be a factor.
Okay, so maybe we can do something for the people who wait for the German edition. So we are planning to do this stream here if we have success, and at the moment it looks like a success, that we do this maybe once a month. So maybe we can do one or the next one in German, because we really have quite a few people who really struggle with English, and and you have a lot of fans here in Germany, obviously. So maybe we can do one of these streams, maybe the next one in German would be an idea from my point of view. What do you think about that, Dirk?
Yeah, for sure. I'm open to, depending on demand, I'm open to everything. Sorry that I didn't pay 100% attention, because if I looked at some questions there. So it's really, I'm terrible in multitasking. So probably you have to read.
So I just promised to our German viewers.
Yeah, no, I got this. I'm open for everything. Is a good. That is the universal answer. Almost like 42, right?
Okay. So the next stream will be in German, and then the one after that will be in English again. So
yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we got this out of the way, and let us check maybe the questions in the chat. Yeah, so Stefan is happy that he was part of making this possible, or starting this project. Yeah, Ralf is recommending DeepL, of course. This is an awesome translating.
Yeah, I'm already using it. So
yeah.
I used it for the translation of that chapter, but yeah.
So, Dirk didn't think before about some new rules for backgammon. Something like bluff cubes, wrong takes, burn a time for player who made a mistake on take cube or pass. I think we are quite happy with the backgammon rules. So
yeah, I am, and especially since I'm trying to promote the game, and the game as it is already complicated enough for spectators that watch for the first time or just tune in. And any more complication would make it more difficult to promote the game. It has to be, I mean, it's not as easy accessible as poker, I think, and that is why it suffers in media popularity compared to a game like poker, for example. So I wouldn't make it more complicated. It's already as difficult enough for me, at least.
That's my thinking as well. So I know that, for example, one of the two big backgammon platforms. So one is Galaxy and one is Heroes. And on Heroes, you have the possibility to play all kinds of variants. Not only Pasco backgammon, but also things like Hitgammon or whatever. I think it's always good to see people who are so creative, but I think as well, so backgammon is so complicated for me, and I really struggle with getting better, and I want to get better, so I don't need any more variations or rules that makes it even more complicated. So for me, it's just fine how it is, and I think it will keep me busy until the end of my life, and still will be interesting, and will still question some things and learning every day. So okay, but I think you were wondering about Christian's question maybe when you were distracted. So Christian Monk Christensen, hi Christian or Christian. His question is, have you seen any measurable improvement in your QPR as a result of your work with the book? How much and which part of the QPR take pass or cube decisions? So we all know that cube, at least in my case, it's almost around double the PR of my checker play. I don't know how it is in your case, Dirk. I think I have a 9 in cube and a 4.7 in checker.
Yeah, it's. I think it has gotten a little bit better, but I didn't make any analysis like really precise. I mean, checking on take pass or any specifics. What I can tell is that okay, when you miss. Evaluate the position, when you get the position wrong and you're way off in your winning percentage or anything, then knowledge about take points doesn't help you if you don't understand the position. So that sometimes I still completely misunderstand the position, as people may have seen in the UBC final. And then my knowledge about take points doesn't help me at all. But I think I got better on understanding the scores and better in my adjustments. So when I understand the position, it's less likely that I make a mistake based on the score, I would say. But measurable, I don't have any data from 2 years ago, so it's really tough to say. But that's my impression.
Okay, so and Tamios is adding that he thinks that there's too much time in backgammon, so and game seems not so dynamic. So I think he's maybe more like a speed player, and he thinks maybe that for young players or young people or young gamers, it would need more action or faster game. Maybe, but there is already speed, or?
Yeah, there's already speed, and the problem is I'm always thinking about attracting new players and this superb content from Galaxy, the commentary from Mark and Nick. I mean, it's difficult to make a high quality commentary when they are playing speed. I wouldn't want to commentate a speed match, because then you start a sentence and then they are already 3 moves ahead. And so people who want to learn certainly shouldn't watch speed. It's just, I think it's it's just too fast. So I have nothing against speed competitions. I play speed myself, although it's not my favorite. But yeah, for like streamed content, I think it's just too fast if you want to have a commentary and an XG evaluation.
Okay. Then Mr. Spock. Hi, Mr. Spock. He has a suggestion regarding, I think, for the additional material. How about an ebook for buyers at an additional cost? This could be kept constantly up to date. So maybe what's your opinion regarding ebooks?
Yeah,
of course, there's this copyright issue or copying issue. What's your...
For me, people who I talked to didn't recommend it to me because they said it's just too easy to hack it, and then the ebook will be all over the place. So I'm a little bit afraid of that. And so yeah, one option would have been to just print on demand, and then you could constantly update. But I think it's very difficult with such a high quality edition, like all this stitch binding. I mean, this edition is rather a luxury edition. So maybe if there is ever a paperback edition, I have no idea if that happens, that you can, I think, more easily do print on demand, but I haven't investigated. But I hope if there's ever a second edition, that second edition will be basically typo free. I mean, all these typos that I have shown before, they are already out of the script.
So if we just mentioned the high quality, not only of the content, but also of the book itself. So for me, it was really amazing and really nice to have this book in hand. And because I think most of the books that came out in the past few years were not of this quality. What were the reactions of your buyers? Did everyone appreciate this for the higher cost?
So far, I had only positive reactions. People really enjoyed that, but I have to be careful because usually people that really would have liked a cheaper edition, nobody would write, I rather would have preferred to pay 20 euro less for a cheaper edition. So of course it's biased. Or all these people who write to me and say, oh, it's great to have such a high quality edition, they were willing to pay more in the first place. So that's probably, maybe there are people out there who never buy the book because it's just too expensive, and they would buy a cheaper, lower quality edition. For sure, they should also exist. So yeah, that's all that I can say.
Okay.
But the ones I had some very nice feedback about, it's so nice to browse through the pages and stuff like that.
And I think especially because it's a book where you will have to work on for months, if not for years. So it's especially good or extra good to have it in a good quality, that it will, even after working with it for years, it will still, I think, will look good. I would suggest we have more questions in the chat, but I would suggest that we come to another question we got beforehand, and then we come back. So we have to keep in mind that I think Tamio's question here we will go back to regarding money game and matches. But first, I would suggest that we go to some questions we got from Arthur beforehand. So we should talk about it a little bit. So the first question from Arthur was talking about gammonless positions in chapter 3.3.1, the position with both players, one on the 6 point. Both players have one checker on the 6 point, so in the bear off, is shown as lower limit for a take, which is 18% or 18.75%. This position is as well an optional drop. Is there a highest percentage below? We always have an at least optional drop.
Yeah. First of all, optional drop means that take or pass are both correct. So I only know two positions where it doesn't matter if you take or pass. So that is this one. This is, you can just flip a coin and take or pass. This is the 18.75, and then there is the other one with exactly 25%. So these are the only two positions that I know of that are optional, no more optional. So what we can say for sure is that a pass is always wrong above 25 winning percentage, 25% winning chances in a gammonless position, and a take is always wrong below this 18.75%. In between, like let's say you are winning 22% in a gammonless position, everything is possible, but it's very hard. So, but always it will be, I think, correct. Maybe somebody can find another optional position, but it will be always one of the two correct. The point is that between these two percentages, it's a gray area. You just don't know. You have to see the position. And there are positions like I've shown in the book with 24.9 winning percentages that are passes, and other positions. The other one from the book with only 20% winning chance.
Sorry, you're showing a position. I have to switch the scene, otherwise the people are.
Okay. Okay.
At the moment,
okay.
they see the question.
You had switched.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But now we see what you are sharing, Dirk. Or maybe you repeat.
Okay. Then I will just repeat. So what I was saying is this is one of the optional positions, and optional means both decisions are correct, take or pass, and this is the other type of position. That is also. It doesn't matter. In all other cases, either take or either pass is correct. What we can say is over 25%, a pass can never be correct. Below 18.75%, a take can never be correct. And in between, everything is possible. Sometimes the take is correct, sometimes the pass is correct, and that depends on how live the cube is. And that depends upon the position itself. So, like I just said, when you didn't, I just showed this position where the cube is very live for the taker. So you can take with 20%. And in this position, the cube is not live at all. So you have to pass with almost 25%. So actually not live at all. It's just dead. So there's this zone where you just don't know. The only thing that I found out, or that I think it was known before, and I tested it, when it's a long race, like a normal race, 100 pips, you can say you can be pretty certain that if you win 22% in a long race, you have a take, and with 21, you have never a take there. There, what I call live cube take point, which is defined as the take point in the long race, is 21.5%. So around that area. But still, all positions are either takes or passes. At least I haven't seen any other positions where you can choose.
And maybe we can add that this position where we have one checker on both sides have one checker on the 6 point, where we have 18% or 18.75%. I think we have kind of a proof, or one of the proofs maybe that this is the lowest percentage we can have, is because here we have a perfect cube in all the time. So we have in 100% of the cases, we have a 100% effective recube. So you cannot have more cube power than that, because every time you win, you have a perfect recube where the opponent still is exactly at the borderline. So this is kind of a proof, I think.
In equity, yeah, that is just what I outlined in the text. In equity terms, this position, although it's only 18.75, is exactly the same. There is no difference between these two positions. There isn't. Both are optional take passes, although the winning percentage for the taker is different, and differs by a lot.
And of course,
all these other positions they have in between, they are also all optional, of course. Like this position I just saw in the chat, this is also optional. Yeah, all these types. Besides that, yeah, Arthur is right. These are also all optional, but they have other winning percentages. What I mean is, besides this endgame position, because these are all the same. I have a hard time imagining a position where you have this optional stuff going on. Also, you can take this, all of those. But yeah, this is also optional, and it's 23.6. But they have all the same feature. This checker on the 6.
And of course, Christian is right in the chat that if you're the captain, when you're fighting for the box initiate, then you sometimes have to take below 18.
Actually, there is also psychological. If you are the weakest player in the shred, you better pass. But there's also I would always take, because if my opponent loses, he might get rattled. It's like, I mean, it's just like it pisses you off when you don't take that checker off from the 6. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, then maybe we go back to the chat before we come to the next question by Arthur. So I think we stopped at the question from Tamios. What Dirk prefers to play on: money versus weak players? If you play for money against weak players, would you prefer a money game or many short matches like 5 or 7 point matches?
I think I would prefer a money game, because there's also all these psychological components, steaming, and weak players. What I've found, most weak players at some point get frustrated and start maybe steaming if they are losing, or if they are winning, all of a sudden they want to keep their winnings and they pass everything. So I think there's more psychological pressure. And since I'm relatively relaxed, I mean, I don't get steamed. Maybe sometimes frustrated, but not in this. It's always difficult to play your A game when everything is against you, or the dice are against you. Not everything, the dice, to be precise. I would prefer money.
Okay. So I think a good question would be comparing how much money you would bet for money and for the match where would be the break even.
Actually, that has anybody come up with the formula, like €20 a point money game is playing 5 point matches for how many euros? I have no idea what's the correlation is with the stakes. What is the equivalent in stakes?
Yeah, maybe someone who will write the book, The Theory of Backgammon, maybe he will write something like that.
Well, right now, I mean, it's still itching to write another book, but I think I have spent so many hours with this book that I think I will maintain some distance.
So you need some life, that's what you want to say.
Yeah, well, write about something else. For example, I really would like to write something about checker play. I mean, theory of backgammon is in parts very technical, because it's theory, and when you write about checker play decisions or strategies, then you can just it's not that formal, I imagine. So maybe it's more fun writing it. I don't know. So yeah, if I do something in the future, I think it will be something different, not such a very formal work.
Okay, then we have another general question by Taifur. What can be done to make backgammon more popular, especially in Germany?
Especially in Germany, I think anywhere you have to go local, is my opinion. Right now, in COVID times, very difficult. but I think in the UK they are a lot further advanced than we are in Germany. They have clubs and people meeting regularly, and yeah, if backgammon enthusiasts all over Germany or in any other country that is would try to open a regular backgammon meeting spot in a pub or something twice, maybe once every 2 weeks or something. I think we don't have this. We have these tournaments and they are nice, but we don't have this local infrastructure, and I think that would help to attract more people.
Okay, then next we have from our friend Jens. Which chapter is the most fascinating? I think
I cannot tell. It's just like for me, it was the most fascinating chapter was writing or developing chapter. What was it? Chapter 11, I think. This where I developed a formula for estimating how much value the cube has on average in middle game positions. So basically trying to help with the question, if I lose X amount of gammons, how many games do I need to win to still have a take? So that work was that was all completely new to me, how it developed. So that is all stuff I didn't know before I wrote the book. So for me, that was the most fascinating. But I think everybody, it also maybe other people find it completely boring or way too complicated, and think some other chapter is very interesting. So yeah, I cannot tell. I only can say that this was the most interesting one for me to write.
okay, good answer. And then Arthur obviously is right when he's saying don't read that book, study it. Yeah, it's nothing you can just scroll through and then think you learn something. You really have to study it, and I would also not recommend read it from start to finish. So just take a few pages or maybe one chapter and then do something else and then come back to it. And really, it's more going deep than fast is more important.
Yeah, and it also depends on your playing level. Maybe some chapters in the advanced section, depending on your level, you shouldn't even touch. While other chapters, or for now, I mean, in the future, when somebody improves, they all of a sudden may get interesting, and other chapters in the foundation may not be interesting at all for already very experienced players, especially the ones who studied the theory. So yeah, it depends on your level of play and what. In the beginning, I'm surprised. I thought many people, readers, would just gloss over the foundation and go immediately to the advanced concepts. But it seems like most of the readers read it from start to finish, which I didn't expect, because I thought more players would say, "Oh, this is all. There's nothing new to me for me in the foundation part." But no, seems like most readers read it from start to finish.
Okay, so next comment is from Peter Schneider. This is an old friend of mine. We lost contact after I stopped playing backgammon in the 1999. So first contact. So nice to see you again, Peter.
Yeah, nice to see you again, Peter. You are the one with the affinity for Wim Wenders movies. Is that correct? I don't know. I'm just taking a wild guess. You can tell in the chat that it's nonsense.
I didn't get what you were saying, Dirk, but anyway, So
Yeah, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was just
so he also mentioned that he noticed or got notice about this stream or maybe about my channel about Daily Gammon. I think Kadia was so kind to write some posts there. I don't know about Daily Gammon. Do you know something about it, Dirk? Is it a common forum?
I'm
Or?
only playing on Heroes and Galaxies, so
So it's a platform for playing.
yeah, Daily Gammon is a platform for playing. Yeah, I'm right. I'm right. So I remembered correctly. So
Okay, is it something we should explain, or it's just between you and Peter?
no, I remembered Peter that he was a fan of Wim Wenders movies. So and I was asking if I had something in the back of my head, and so I asked Peter, if that was correct, if I remembered correctly. And he just posted a smiley, and so I was correct.
And also Arthur mentioned here that he posted it on Daily Gammon. Okay, so we got this right as well. So now what's going on? Arthur 2345, we explained this. Optional. So we have Craig Anderson. What approach / system do you use to incorporate considerations of your opponent's cube efficiency on his recube into your initial cube decision? And how do you know when this is very important to do? Wow.
Yeah, basically, first important factor is the score. So the best example is always leading 3 away, 4 away. I know if I double, then my opponent's recubes will be very efficient because my take point is 40%. So score is always a factor because recube efficiency when you play matches is not only position dependent, but also score dependent. I mean, most extreme example, when you are 2 away, there is no recube efficiency because the cube is dead after the take. And there are other scores where the threat of a recube is very real, and it's a lot more threatening than for money. So that's the score factor. And for middle game positions, there is really this strong correlation between winning percentage and number of efficient recubes. So then I simply try to estimate, is this a high winning percentage position? So I know then many recubes will be coming, let's say at a normal score. And then, yeah, I don't make any precise calculations. I know the score factor, and in the position, the main factor is how many games does my opponent win to decide on how efficient he or she can use the cube.
And maybe we should also mention that it's really important that before you do the first move on any game, that you make a short thinking about what's about this score, what's going on here, especially when you're getting closer to the end of the match.
Okay. Yeah, and there are some also position types where you just know when you play when your opponent plays a 5-point holding game, you know he won't get too many efficient recubes because that's just a feature of holding game positions, pure holding games. So that's also to keep in mind.
Okay, then I think still some comments on this pair of doubling positions. Jakob Garal had a question, but he also said Dirk has already explained it. So I think the comment from Herbert is practice of backgammon. So we need a follow-up to the theory of backgammon as practice of backgammon. Yes, maybe. Good title. Are the same decisions the comment by Jakob. I think maybe regarding optional take or optional drop. I don't know what this was referring to. So an author would like to read a book about holding game checker play. Huh? It would not occur to me, to be honest.
Actually, that's an interesting project. I was thinking about that because not because holding game checker plays or mutual holding games are the most exciting positions, but they constantly occur. So I think if I write a book, it will be about something that occurs often. So it has the most practical value. Like, for example, back games for sure are more exciting and more interesting and more fun to write about. But maybe 3% of all backgammon games end up in a back game or are back games. So it's just every once in a blue moon you have a back game. So the practical value of writing a book on back games is less, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I certainly would choose something that comes up every third game or something.
Okay, then I think we have no more questions in the chat, so I would go to the second question that were delivered by Arthur before. So, related to this, still assuming gammonless, XG gives in his cube information for money 20% for a life cube, or take point for a life cube. The life cube seems to assume life cube for both sides, while the 18.75 before comes from a totally live against totally dead cube. Can we get anything out of that? I think that's the most important question. Can we get anything out of the live cube information from XG for money or match play? If so, how is it related to your recube quick analyze?
I mean, it's a starting point what XG shows, but, and here's a big but, for example, maybe you can
just switch
me on screen, yeah. Arthur means this cube information thing that this for money dead cube 25%, which is correct. That's a hard number, and the 20% is the live cube take point. First of all, there is no live cube take point in the sense that it always depends on how live the cube is, and that depends on the position. So you cannot say, there is no hard number here. So technically, you cannot talk about a live cube take point. And for me, for example, these 20% that XG shows here is too low. And even XG is not adhering to it. For example, I knew the question was coming, so let's see if I can get the position on. So here, according to this analyze live cube information, 20% should be take, right, according to this. And but you can see 20.7%. So we are over the live cube take point. And one ply says it's a pass. You can also put it on any ply. So XG doesn't even adhere to that table, so to this live cube information. So I think part of the reason why I wrote chapter 11 was that what XG displays as live cube take point doesn't seem to be very accurate, to cautiously formulated, or what is for sure, XG doesn't use it for its decisions. That's for sure, because if XG used it, then it should say take in this position. Am I right? Or am I getting something wrong here?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so, and as I said before, I studied these long races, and 21.5% is a good number for long races, and not 20% as shown in this analysis. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest.
And most of the time it's just too low, though the real life cube will be somewhere between that and the life cube according to XG.
And yeah, how live the cube is just always depending on the position and on the position type, winning percentage, and all that variables.
Okay, then I think we come to the third question from Arthur before we go back to the chat. Let's go back here. So I think this is really interesting. So Arthur is saying, assuming gammons are in play, if you are ahead in the match with the same difference leading, being closer to the end should usually be better. Due to the match equity tables, this is not the case at 3-away, 4-away compared to 4-away, 5-away. I can see the difference in cube impact, but would like to have it explained at that score a bit more. So I created a little graphic to explain what Arthur was talking about. So the idea is, if, for example, if you see in this table, when you look at the lower right, where we have this 8-away, 9-away, we have 55.44%. So the idea is, if we keep this 1 point match lead and get closer to the match, it should be worth a little bit more, because getting closer to the end of the match, the same match lead by theory should be worth more. And if you look at this table or this diagonal, we see that it starts here with 55.44, then at 7-away, 8-away, it's 55.48, it's a little bit higher. Then we have 56.26, so it goes up. But there's one exception. So if we see 4-away, 5-away, we have 57.73. And then if you get one step closer to 3-away, 4-away, all of a sudden it goes lower. So it's only 57. So the 1 point lead is only worth 7.15% worth. And then at 2 or 3, it goes the normal way again. So Arthur is basically asking, where does this exception come from? So this exception at 3-away, 4-away. Now, Mr. Professor, what's your...
Yeah, okay. First of all, I recommend page 280 and page 281, because there's explained where the difference is coming from. But so I will bring it up here. If you could give me the screen, Rainer.
Yep, I already switched. So
okay, so let's look at 4-away, 5-away first. So you're leading with 1 point, but that's a very good lead in the sense that you are 4-away, so you can win the game, the match, with one doubled gammon, with one 4-point game. So that's always an important step when you're playing a match to get to the 4-away score, because the 4-away score is one of the efficient scores to close out the match. Just 4 points will exactly win the match. So when you are 4-away, you are on a good score, and at 5-away is a less efficient score, because you will now need at least 2 games to win the match. So the 5-away score is generally less efficient for winning the match. So the leader here is on a really good score, a good distance, 4-away distance, and the trailer is at a not a bad distance, but an inefficient distance, 5-away. So that means the 4-away, 5-away lead is especially valuable. Compare that with the 3-away, 4-away lead. Now it's the trailer who is at this very efficient distance, And the three-away player, of course, can also win with a double gammon, but there is some wastage. Or a three-away, four-away, both players are, if you say that most backgammon games end either on 1, 2, or 4. So that's just very generalized. So both players at three-away, four-away need only one game to win. The four-away player, the trailer, also can win with a double gammon. That leads to at three-away, four-away to this what I call cube impact situations, where at a position where the four-way player, because of the gammons that are very efficient, can win the game just with an initial cube, because the trailer, that is, can win the game, because the leader has to be afraid of these super efficient gammons and has to pass. And if you reverse the score, give the same position to the leader, normally the leader doesn't even have a double. So in that sense, the presence of the cube greatly benefits the four-way player at three-away, four-away. So that means actually if you have the choice, you rather would like to lead four-away, five-away, because you on the efficient distance, the opponent not so much, than leading three-away, four-away, where this is just reversed. You on a less efficient score and your opponent on a very efficient score. So that is the logical explanation for the numbers. Okay.
Okay.
I hope that, but it's all written here also in the relative value of points 17.1 it is, where you can just read about it.
Okay, cool. And let me just go back here. What I did as well after reading Arthur's question is I also checked what about the 2-point lead or the 3-point lead.
Okay.
And here you see the same thing, that just at three-away is just an ugly score for the leader, because you cannot do much with the cube, at least as long as the gammons are involved. You just play on usually, and the gammonless positions are a little bit far away. So most of the time you have not much advantage from having access to the cube, and we see that this is the same thing. And to make it a little bit clearer, I don't want to go too deep into it, I've just created this little list here where we see what is how many percentages in match equity is it now worth compared to being 1 point more away from the match score. So for example here we see in the first line this is a 1 point lead. So this 0.35 means that at 9 away, 10 away, we have a 0.35% more equity, higher equity than being 10 away, 11 away. So, and if you go, we see here on this table that if we are at 8 away, 9 away, it's 0.42, so it's a little bit higher, and then it goes down. So if we come to 7 away, 8 away, it's just almost the same. So this is because I think the opponent is getting here to 8 away, which is also kind of nice, because redoubled gammons win the match or things like that. And then we see here the same. And we clearly see here that 3-away, 4-away, this is getting even negative. And we see the same at 2-point leads or 3-point leads. So maybe the reader can later on stop and see that we have the same thing. And at 3-away, it's always getting a little bit weird.
Yeah, and just a short comment to that. I mean, it's all connected. So this is why in a pure race, when the opponent is 4-away, you have to pass more because it's less costly to give up the point and let the opponent to three away, because three away is not such an attractive score, and it's much more costly to take and then lose 2 points and let the opponent then go to two away instead. So it's all connected, of course, and
Yeah.
most of the things can be logically explained, but still it's not easy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But remember, guys, three away is a bitch. Avoid it. So let's go back. Now we got through the prepared questions, and I think we will answer the questions from the chat. We agreed that we will make this. Our goal was to make this stream between 60 and 90 minutes. So I think we still have around 20 minutes left. And let's see what we have in the chat here. So Jakob Garal is asking, have I correctly understood that Dirk feels himself more convenient in money games comparing to match play? I don't think so. The question was, what would he prefer when he's playing for money against a weaker opponent?
It's when it's about profit. Nowadays, I don't play any money games, or I haven't played a money game in a long time. I mean, higher than €2 a point, something like that. So I'm only can talk from my experience from 20 years ago when I played high stakes money game. And yeah, I would prefer to do that over match play. That was all. Actually, match play, I like it better because it has more components to it. And yeah, it's but it was just about what I think is more profitable.
So match for fun and money for money.
Yeah, match for tournament and money game for money. I mean, you can play a match for fun, but playing money game without money is yeah, you can see the difference.
So then we also have a comment from Jedi Dix Sensei. I don't get it. Can you? I don't know what he's referring to. Like a banter.
Certainly doesn't look like a question.
Okay, that's for sure, yeah, because the question mark is missing. But maybe you can explain it, Jedi, then we come back to it. But otherwise, we skip and come to Kanal Dadas, also a regular viewer. Hello, Kanal Dadas. Where do you think has XG its weaknesses, or can we always trust the software? Never always trust anybody.
Not always. I mean, I have an example in the book where XG makes a big blunder according to its own rollout. That was a holding game at a certain score. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's the best that we got. And if you suspect something, you can do a rollout. And also, naturally, there are some positions that are very rare and very strange, like let's say an outfield prime or something. An outfield 6 prime never happens, basically. So these things XG hasn't learned properly. So I'm not an expert in, not even an amateur in neural nets. So but that is the more exotic the position, the bigger the likelihood probably that XG will make a mistake. The only bias that I encountered that is really consistent is that XG overvalues the recube vig in holding games. That's in the rollout. The take gets always closer, or sometimes it becomes a pass. So that's a constant bias, or like where it's not accurate according to its own rollouts.
And I think there's a book where there's written something about this, oh?
Yeah, which page is it? I can't remember. It's in part 2. There you can read about it. I have an example in the book that I know.
But basically, you can trust XG more than any human.
Yeah, and so you can also say I don't trust anything, but then how do you want to learn? I mean, that's the best thing that you got, and you just have to accept that it's not always 100%.
And even though sometimes rollouts turned out to be different, XG++ is just the perfect compromise between accuracy and time or speed.
Yeah. By the way, XG++ is also a rollout.
Yeah, mini truncated rollout. Yeah.
Truncated rollout.
Okay, then we have another question from Christian Monk Christensen. Is it correct to cube something which you suspect is too good when playing an inferior opponent?
Yeah, that could easily happen. I think I also wrote about that in the part 3 of the book, that I once had this situation where an opponent of mine after the match asked me, why didn't you play on? And I was that was a clumsy reply. I said, yeah, I was thinking that he may take this cube, and I sort of thought it was too good, but then if there's only a slight chance that the opponent takes it, then I should double. And he felt insulted. Sorry for that, but I should have formulated as that's not personal, but he, as a representative of a certain segment of the player population, maybe it could have been that he could have taken this cube, and if it's only 10% chance that he takes this technical play on, then it's way better to double.
And
it
especially
certainly can happen. And in money game sessions, you should never play on, because when the opponent is steamed, there's a money game session and you have your opponent steamed up, always double. There's a pretty good chance that your steamed up opponent will take the cube.
So especially if you don't playing a win and skill format, it's always important to try to play the opponent.
Yeah,
but that's not to mix up with explaining your mistakes afterwards, that you said you played the opponent. That's a different thing.
yeah, that's a different thing. That's the cheapest excuse for explaining a mistake. Yeah, I knew what was right, but against this guy, that's just. I mean, it's so easy to see through it. Somebody wants to justify him or herself by saying, "Oh, I did this very special thing because I knew this."
But you can only trick or cheat yourself with these arguments, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Craig Anderson, who mentions or said to Arthur that Jacob Stick Rice published a book regarding holding games. Yes, but this was on cube decisions, right? So holding game checker play decisions is still missing. Still, I think it would not be on my top list of topics I would be interested in, but that's just me.
But it certainly would be very helpful, because
comes up often.
They come up so often.
Yeah. Okay, so Jakob Garal, by 3-away you can still win in one game without doubling, simply making backgammon. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, and I wrote in the book. For simplicity, I will just pretend it's only 1, 2, and 4 points. That's the usual games. Of course, you can win 3 points, but just in general, backgammons are rare beasts. So I was just simplifying and saying, usually at 3-away, you need if you want to win in one game, it usually will be a double gammon and not an undoubled backgammon, I would say.
Okay, then we have another question by Christian. Does recube include the value from being able to recube out winning you more games. In my mind, Recube Wick is what allows you to take at lower than 25%.
Yeah. Why?
Okay, and the recubing out doesn't help.
Of course, it helps.
It helps.
I mean, it takes away equity from the opponent. So I think that's chapter 3. I think that is just this position here. I mean, we all know. I mean, I just take the position from the book, so it's the easiest. So we all know this is a take, and this is essentially the same position. And here it's the recube wick that you don't need to roll that gets you over the 25% needed. You only win 22%, but you never will have to play the game until the end after you take, because you can win the game with the cube. So what essentially happens when you recube and the opponent has a pass is that you deny equity. You can see the equities here. Let's say you own the cube, and white has almost 20% winning chances, but since you own the cube or you have access to the cube, these they go down to 0 because you double, opponent has to pass. So that is also part of recube wick, taking away equity from your opponent by using the cube. And that is, in this case, in the original position, white on roll, that is precisely what allows you to take with only 22% winning chances.
Yeah. Okay, then. Unfortunately, we cannot see any longer 2 messages from Jens. I guess he had some awesome questions, but unfortunately he deleted them. Then we go through to Klaus Bergmann. Hello, Klaus. What would you think about a touch move rule like in chess? Very interesting question. I would have also my thoughts on it, but it's for you the question.
I would hate it because I really need to visualize. So I'm the pattern recognition type. But I get your point. I mean, I wouldn't like the touch move rule, but maybe like a compromise. When you, how can I explain it? When you move the checkers around to look at different positions, the checkers shouldn't touch the board, so that you can see they are a little bit, Rainer, help me. So
a little bit elevated,
a bit to the center, elevated, or something, so that you see that this is not the final move. And then, because what happens with the rules that it's now, like they are now, and it happens to me, I'm guilty as well, that I move around and then have a hard time reconstructing the original position. So maybe not touch move, but something in between, that when you move the checkers around and it's not final, that has to be indicated somehow, and that these checkers are not that you moved can be distinguished from the ones that you didn't move.
Yeah.
So something like that.
And also we should mention that earlier on we talked about what should we do or can we do to make the game more popular. These days, when live games are streamed, for example, for the viewers, it's very interesting, or also for the commentators, if they can see what the players are thinking about by seeing what they are trying out. So this would be a disadvantage as well, I think, at least for games that were streamed or shown on television maybe sometime. But my point would be, I would love, I think, touch move rule, because it's costs so much energy in live game to make sure that the opponent, even though most of the time by accident, is really not making an illegal move. Not to speak about some rare occasions where maybe someone is trying something. So I would really love this rule. It just makes life easier, I think. But of course, it's harder to visualize, and sometimes it's really easier to make the decisions when you really can see them on the board. So that's what Dirk was mentioning. But overall, I think I would like it. And the rule already exists. So there are games or tournaments where they play touch move. I think maybe in Japan. I saw already videos on the internet.
I commentated a match between Kazuki and Wilkinson. It was, I think, Sebastian Wilkinson versus Kazuki Yokota, and they played touch move. I think, yeah. Everything is possible. I really had to practice a lot to get good at touch move. I think, I don't know. I would hate it, but yeah, people have different opinions.
Okay, so next one is from Jakob Garal again. Can you imagine the competition where the participants will play matches till specific number of games, like money games, instead of matches till specific number of points?
So
I'm not quite sure.
Okay, like a 5-game match instead of a 5-point match, and whoever leads. Of course, I can imagine it. Haven't tried it out, but yeah. What can I say? Maybe it's interesting. It's just probably somebody will come out then with a match equity table, and yeah, but just like I in that sense of rule changes in different tournaments, I'm more on the conservative side simply because I think the best is try to get backgammon popular as it is and not come up with lots of variation that can confuse people in the end only, or newcomers, or so. There should be a standard tournament, standard set of rules, so that when I watch a stream, I at least know by which rules the matches are played. So.
And we had this discussion already at the beginning of the stream, where we more or less agreed that we like the game like it is, and it's complicated enough, and we have so much to learn still without any rule changes. And yeah, so Jakob also said that will be the cube decisions another. Of course, the strategy will change somehow, and yeah, so it's a different game in a way. So then we have your friend Matthias. Adjusting to your opponent does not depend on whether you play normal backgammon or win and skill.
I disagree, because depending on the set of rules, of course, I gave an example in the book. If you're whatever, let's say your bluff double succeeds, you get PR punishment, but the PR punishment of your opponent is a lot bigger. So you are doing good in the PR contest against that person. So you could, even in a PR format, bluff somebody. In certain formats where you don't contend only against the one player, but against the whole field, like in the qualifying stages of the UBC contender, where you also qualify when you play the best or second best overall PR, any PR mistake gets you into a worse position compared to the field. So I wouldn't recommend, certainly wouldn't recommend that. But Matthias is right. When it's a heads-up PR competition, you could make a bluff that would be also then a PR bluff, because if it's successful, then you destroy your opponent's PR, and you only get you get a smaller punishment for your technically incorrect decision. That's true.
And we can also say that playing your opponent gets more complicated or requires more skills if you play win and skill, or?
Yeah,
do you agree?
And it's just like, for me, it's not practical. First of all, I don't see, at least the ones that I played, the win and skills formats, I only played against very good players. So it's a little bit dicey to try to exploit something. And the second, all these things again, I have to repeat myself, complicate the game. So it's another layer of complexity, and I already have to struggle with the game itself. So in the end, the times that I tried to play my opponent in matches with PR and all that stuff, so far it only backfired for me. So I wouldn't do it in a PR contest, at least.
Okay, then Christian said thanks for your explanation. I think this was the one before. Then we have Arthur also said should not be allowed to make another variation before completely putting back everything to the basic position. Yeah, I think this should be the rule. Maybe already is the rule.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of rules that are not known by everybody. For example, that you should play one-handed or things like that. There are a lot of hidden rules in the official rules, which are sometimes ignored or not everybody is aware of. And of course, if you try different variations, always go back to the starting. It should be just fair play. But I think it's also a rule.
Yeah.
So another question by Arthur. Would you like it in chess to put a checker and look at the position? Ah, okay. So he's doing the reverse thing. Yeah. Okay.
The reverse thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. In chess, I don't see what it helps, how it can help, because you have to calculate variations and you cannot move. Then you would have to move your opponent's checkers as well if you want to look at the variation in chess. So in chess, it's a different game. It works differently. So I don't think that in chess. I think in chess, a touch move is fine.
But in backgammon, we touch the opponent's checkers as well when we are hitting.
When we are hitting, yeah. But in chess, if you play like 5 moves ahead and move 5 moves ahead, it's hard to imagine how and go through. No, I think in chess it's not feasible. I mean, I think it wouldn't hurt chess if you if it's played with a clock to move one piece and look at the position. It's just there are certain traditions, and nobody, I think, got the idea of doing that or sees the necessity of doing that. If backgammon had evolved as touch move, probably I would be sitting here and saying, yeah, touch move, that's how it should be. But it's just many things, just the pattern behavior that you learned. So I'm used now for more than 30 years that I can move my checkers forth and back. And so, of course, I don't want to lose that.
Okay, so and Matthias is coming back to this playing your opponent at win and skill again. I think he doesn't want our stream that come to an end so fast. So anything to add to this?
One match, it is not more difficult to adjust to your opponent. Yeah, that wasn't what I meant was that when you play, okay, my main point is, let's say there is a real weak player in this UBC contender. And I could adjust. He has a clear tendency to pass too many cubes, let's say. Or I know that because I know the player. So still, if I start with my bluff doubles, first of all, they could be taken. And it's always a mistake in the bank. And in the end, I get my overall PR over all 15 matches. And these mistakes will be counted against all the other players. So I just voluntarily make my PR worse, and that could lead that I don't qualify for the next round through the PR. That's all what I said. Okay,
that's why Matthias he also said this was referring to me because he's mentioning in one match. So then overall PR does not count. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
we have no more questions. We have 1.5 hours. That was our maximum we had in mind for this stream. Did we miss anything, Dirk? We had on our list what we wanted to talk about.
I don't think so.
Maybe one more mentioning. We have this on Discord. There's this Backgammon Prime, and there's also a separate channel for discussing about Dirk's book, The Theory of Backgammon. Even though it's a German or at least German-speaking community. And also we have this Facebook group from Dirk where you can discuss. Is it still?
It's not public yet.
It's not public yet.
I think I don't see any reason to not make it public. It's just like the problem with me is maybe I won't have time to answer all the questions. So then if others could help me to answer questions, so people should also discuss among themselves. So I probably won't be able to react on everything in detail. That's all. So I was a little bit reluctant to launch it that everybody can join. So then that would be, we're always talking about additional layers that would maybe be an additional layer of work.
And as you mentioned before, you want your life back and do also something different outside your book.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
but I will make it public and let's see what happens.
Yeah. Then I have nothing else on my list. I'm quite happy that on the technical side it was working. I think we had no lag and something like that. And I did not forget to open the mic so everybody could hear us. I think it went quite smoothly, and I'm already looking forward to our next stream, which will be maybe in 4 weeks in German. This is the time where you should just say yes, Dirk.
You were talking to me. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so we had some final comments here. Jakob was thanking us for the stream, and Herbert and J Joker also. Yes. Greetings to Frankfurt, J Joker. And then I think we can wrap it up. Right?
For my part, thanks everybody.
If we have no more questions, then
thank you, Rainer, for making it possible. And let's do a German version in a month.
Yeah, that will be cool. So thanks for being here, or for especially for having written this wonderful work, The Theory of Backgammon. And thanks for being here, for all our viewers and explaining everything. And then see you next time, Dirk.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's it for today, folks. And this week we'll continue with some awesome content. We have another stream in English on Saturday, where Mochi and his partner Kazuki will be here and play a match against Thorsten Lux and myself. And since we felt this may be slightly unfair, because we may be a slight underdog against these two awesome players, we have some jokers. You will find out on Saturday. So we are playing or streaming at 9 o'clock on this Saturday evening. And on Sunday, there will be the next stream, a stream in German language then. So the stream on Saturday will obviously be in English, of course. And on Sunday, we will have a stream in German language, where we will stream the awesome match. Again, a great Japanese player will be involved. Hideaki Ueda will play against someone you all know, a regular guest here in the streams and a great supporter and a great friend, Markus Reinhardt. They play in the Club World Championships and they are pretty much almost in the finals. So I think there are 7 teams left. So 3-player teams, and they are leading in the table. So they are on the first place together with the Japanese team, and they are already leading because Stefan Hartmann has won his match. So if Markus can win against Hideaki, they will come to a very big step closer to winning the World Club Championships. So this will be on Sunday at 1 o'clock and will be commentated by Thorsten Lux and Dirk Schiemann. So you will get a lot of entertaining and you can learn a lot and have a lot of fun. And yeah, maybe you want to thank me by subscribing, which will cost you nothing except a click with your mouse on the subscribe button, which will also have the great benefit for you that if you also activate this notification bell, that you will get a notification when a new stream is coming up. So you will never miss again these awesome streams. So see you on Saturday at 9 o'clock in the evening. See you then. I love you all. Bye bye.